Hello, I'm Tom Smith, and today I'm doing a Doctor Who review of It Takes You Away. Um, this story is just dull, boring, lame, bland. The one good thing about it is Ribbons, who's just such a beautifully costumed, though generic demon like creature that's just a devious little bastard. But of course, he's the most interesting character in the whole story and gets killed like that. So that's like the only good thing this season. It's not that he's great as a character. He's just the most engaging and interesting. Outside of that, everything else is boring. The story clearly has no idea what it's doing. Its opening tries to pretend to do some quasi horror thing, but they're just a bunch of cheap jump scares that never go anywhere. And the main story is just really stupid. Basically, there's some whole other universe energy thing that wants to be connected to ours, some reason why, because it's lonely, I guess. And there's some anti-zone which has killer moths, like they're just big moths that eat people. In fact, that's what kills Ribbons, which is sad because, like I said, Ribbons is like the coolest design thing in the whole thing. Hell, we find out the whole universe shape-shifting thing's just a frog. I don't know. I mean, it's just the most irritating thing is it's a story dealing with grief, but it deals with characters we don't know hardly anything about or are just so bland and forgettable that their deaths are kind of meaningless. And then, yeah, it's just really boring. Just them walking around caves, no real story going on, no characters, no atmosphere. It has no point. It's just dull. That's all I can say. Like, Ribbons worked because it was the only thing that had like a bit of a flair to it, and it was a bit shady. It had some interesting character, and the actor did a good job with him, considering even though he's in full makeup. But outside of that, it's not the worst. It's not the best, but it's the most dull and boring. I mean, there's a fucking anti-zone in an alternate universe, and yet it's just the blandest thing possible with the boringest reason of executing grief. Like, I mean, because it doesn't deal with grief. I mean, it's hard to deal with grief when the main reason this whole crazy shenanigan happens is because some random stranger dealing with the death of his wife that we know nothing about at all whatsoever. So the whole point of dealing with that grief makes no fucking sense. And even when we're dealing with a deep grief dealing with Graham, it still doesn't really work that well because the character that she's grieving for is pretty bland and forgettable, and we don't know much about her, and they killed her off in the first bloody episode. Because they wanted to deal with her dealing with grief, at least let her stay on the bloody TARDIS crew for like 3 or 4 episodes, then kill her off. Then maybe they'd be a little more impact with her death. Ah, I don't know. It's just this season sucks. I have to say it. It's a shitty season. It's either been between shittiness or mediocrity or somewhere in between. It hasn't had one good episode in the whole season, and I know the next episode is going to be disappointing because if there's one thing that's always a guarantee is that the season finales of all of New Who pretty much almost always suck. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's just bland and forgettable. All right, I'm done. See you in the next episode.